Welcome to the Under Construction Podcast with me, Martin Williams. Here we talk about how to build or rebuild your life one step at a time. Let's get to work. And thank you for tuning in to the Under Construction Podcast. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You may do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. All the links to the podcast can be found at guidedexpressions.com/podcast with an S. Today, I wanted to talk to you about creating a verbal menu. So what does that mean? How you speak, the words you use, what you say, is the number one way to control what's going on in your mind, okay? We've all heard the stat that over 60,000 thoughts come out of our mind each day. And, there's so much input. We have television, we have internet, we have social media, and an unnumbered amount of things that are pouring into our minds, and our minds are basically trying to keep up with it all and thinking, in response to those things, as well as things that come from our backgrounds, things that come from our childhood, our past experiences, our current experiences, right? So all of these things are contributing to how we think. And if you are not happy with the quality of thoughts that you're thinking on a consistent basis, really look no further than what you're saying, okay? Because if you're not saying anything to really combat that or to control that, then you're going to just continue to, think the things that you really don't want to think, right? So how do I do that? How do I change my thoughts? Well, you got to create a verbal menu. And basically what that is a list of statements that are pointed in the direction that you want to go to, right? So let's say that I want to have a good day at work. So I've got to basically create a series of statements that support that, right? So I would say, for instance, I write these things down for myself. I say, I catch everything at work. I catch all different, any type of errors, any type of things that might mess up a project or mess up something that I'm doing. I catch important things at work, right? I am calm, I'm relaxed, I am extremely motivated, I'm very efficient, I am concentrating at all times, I'm focusing at all times, I am finishing things quicker than expected, I'm finishing projects quicker than expected, I do not skip steps, I do not miss any steps, right? So I say these things, and what it does is that it tells my mind, okay, my mind is basically doing its thing. My mind is thinking of everything from, the upcoming holiday to sports to music to, it's just going from one thing to the next. These statements help to refocus or recalibrate my mind to think what I want it to think about at that particular moment. When I'm at work, I want to be thinking about work. I want to be thinking about what I need to do in order to finish whatever it is that I'm trying to finish. And, if I'm not giving my mind instructions, it's going to basically think of everything but what I want it to think about. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with our minds. That's the way our minds are. Our minds are creative by nature, so our minds are constantly creating. It just needs to have, our minds just need to have some oversight, for lack of a better term. So that's what a verbal menu does. A verbal menu basically is a list of things that you want to think about whenever you are going throughout your day, right? So whether it's work, whether it's at home, maybe you're at home and work is over, you want to be locked in with your family. You want to spend time with your family. You want to be present, right? There may be some things that you want to finish at home. There may be some projects that are unfinished. And so, you create a menu and you say, okay, I'm working on these things that I need to finish. When my kids are talking to me, I'm present, I'm listening, I'm responding. I am there as a support. I'm there as as someone who is, their champion, as opposed to, someone who is, constantly, correcting and everything else. Because, as parents, sometimes we get into this mode where we're constantly telling our kids what not to do instead of just listening, instead of just saying, okay, I'm just going to listen to what they have to say, and I'm not going to use this time to correct, but I'm just going to use this time to be present with my kid, right? And it's the same thing with your spouse. How are you being present for them, right? So all of these things, our minds have to do a lot of heavy lifting because there's a lot of, we have a lot on our plates. There's a lot of things going on in anybody's life, and then of course, we're living in a challenging time as well. So sometimes our minds need a little bit of help refocusing and recalibrating upon what matters. So what I would do if I were you is I would take out my phone, okay? And if we're doing it for work, right? Let's say we're doing it for work. I would create about 5 to 7 statements that I would repeat over and over again while I'm at work. And what this will do, if you've had trouble focusing, if you've had trouble concentrating, if you've had trouble finishing things, right? And so many of us are working from home right now, right? And there's a lot of distractions at home that aren't normally at work, right? For me, it's this huge TV right to the left of me, right? With every kind of content imaginable at the press of a button, right? But, when I'm at work, I need to be working. So, I have to create the environment for me to be the most successful that I can be. So if it's work, then I'm focused, I'm concentrating on what matters, I'm finishing projects ahead of time, I am finishing projects well with the highest level of quality, I am I'm finding things, I'm being proactive, I'm moving things along. These are all the types of thoughts that we want our minds to have because it will produce the type of actions that we need to take, okay? So really write down if there's anything that you're struggling with, if you're struggling with finishing things on time, if you're struggling with concentrating, if you're struggling with time management, basically write the positive aspect of that particular issue. So say, I'm improving my time management. I manage my time well. I manage my projects well. I stay on top of projects. I stay on top of, whatever situation it is, right? And so when you do that, when you start creating that verbal menu and you do it, you don't have to do it daily per se, but anything that you can think of, you add that, okay? You add that to that menu, and you're basically giving your mind something to think about and something to say, and our words are like commands, and it commands our minds to do the things that we need it to do in order for us to be successful. Hopefully that made sense, right? Because I said a mouthful. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. I'm putting out this course called the Blueprint Course, and I'm very excited about it. I've been talking about it for the better part of a year, probably longer than that, if you've been following this podcast at all. And I'm finally at the point where I'm going to release it. I've been kind of holding it back a little bit and, really just doing a lot of fine tuning. And I'm really glad that I waited because I feel like now it's ready. I feel like now people will really gravitate to it. And it's a high quality, high impact type of course that's going to help you change the way you think, change the way you strategize your day. You're going to incorporate things such as visualization, something that's very, very powerful that a lot of people have heard but don't use really. But I can't wait to really get this in your hands. I can't wait for you to hear it, for you to take it. And it's going to be out in early January. I'll have an exact date. And when I come up with that exact date, I will put that on all my social media platforms. And also, if you're not following me on social media, first of all, what are you doing? Like, really, what are you doing? Right? You need to be following me on social media. So go to Facebook and search Martin Williams, and you can join my fan page there. You can also follow me on Twitter at Twitter. My @ is Mindset Village. That's MINDSET Village, right? You can also go to Instagram, and it's also Mindset Village on Instagram as well. So thank you so much for listening again. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the Under Construction podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. For more information on Guided Expressions courses and products, go to guidedexpressions.com/products.